So how's Belgium treating you?
I love it. I told everyone yesterday what I did, but I spent the day in Ghent on Friday, and I literally walked for about 12 hours solid. It was awesome. It's great.
So you're finally here.
Yes.
As I mentioned before, it took us ages to get here, but we're very happy that you're here. We're very excited, and if anybody's got a question for Amanda, this is your chance. So raise your hands and I'll come running.
No, don't go to her first. Don't. Hi. This is just awkward. Hi, Claire.
Are we innocent, honestly?
I might, no.
What's the difference between acting and directing?
Everything. Directing, you work harder, you get paid less, it's more stress. Yeah. No. It's almost like using two different sides of your brain in a way. With acting, it's a very singular job in that it's about that character and that story and your interaction with the other characters, but that's what you focus on. With directing, you are responsible for everything else. So prep, you go through all your locations, you learn where you're shooting, you schedule your shot list, you pick out your props and your costumes and your actors and it goes on, and you're in meetings literally for 7 or 8 days, depending on how long the show shoots. And then on the floor, because I prepped very diligently, it's my shot list, and then I have to work with the actors, and I have to work with the crew, and I have to make sure that the director of photography is happy, and the producers are happy, and the writers are happy. And you're really you have a million bosses when you're a director, which is so funny that they call you the director, but you answer to everybody. But in a way, you are the boss in that you're calling the shots, quite literally. And it's my responsibility as a director to make sure that we make the day, that I get the best performance, that I get interesting shots, that I don't go overtime and spend more money than I'm supposed to. And it's in our Directors Guild contract that we will make every effort not to cost the production more money. Yeah, so it's heavy is the head that wears the crown. But TV is really a producer and writer's medium, because once I hand in my director's cut, the producers can do whatever they want with it. Whereas film, I feel, is more of a director's medium, because it's your vision from start to finish. Thank you, Claire. Thank you. I'd say there should be cake, in the very least. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll have to plan one and try to get everyone up for it. Yeah. At the very least, I'll bake a cake.
Hi. Last week, I saw Christopher Judge, and he told us that with Richard Anderson, he always farted when you have to play on the set of Stargate.
We did laugh every single day, but I was the conscientious one, which is super boring, but I grew up with 3 brothers who, got into their own level of mischief, so I was trained from birth to be the one that towed the party line and followed the rules. So, I didn't often get my revenge. But karma, the karmic wheel crushes everyone eventually. So, the boys, it came back to them. I didn't have to do a thing, I just waited. I had to be very patient, that's what I had to do.
Hello.
Hi.
I watched a documentary about the International Space Station, and the astronauts used to request Stargate SG-1 as their downtime. Have you ever met an astronaut?
Did they really?
Yeah. Have you ever met an astronaut?
I'm totally geeking out right now.
Who watched Stargate in actual space? Apparently not.
You know what, I did know that they had Stargate at the International Space Station. I did know that. And that was later on in our run of the show. And I know that Stargate is watched by, am I really loud? Feels really loud. Is watched by Armed Forces Television in various deployments overseas. Yeah, I've never met an astronaut. That's not true. I met Buzz Aldrin. He was probably one of the most famous astronauts, so yes. But he didn't watch Stargate in space because he was, see, he's old, right? So, I met Buzz Aldrin, and that was quite a buzz, I have to say. Oh. Kevin Costner, ladies and gentlemen. He hates me. If you don't hear from me after this trip, he's the man who's driving me to the airport. So let's get pictures. I know you do.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
If they were to bring back Stargate, like they did with the X-Files, for like a 6-episode thing.
Yes. Oh, sorry. What's your question?
Where do you think the characters would be? Where would they be? Where would they still be working at the base, or where would they, be?
Yeah, I mean, we're not that old, most of us, so I would not be on the base. Was it Universe, where I was in command of my own ship, the General Hammond, which I loved that they named my ship the General Hammond. In fact, I cried when I walked into wardrobe. Total geek, but that's okay. I think Carter would be in charge of the entire Stargate program. I do. I think she would be full bird colonel, which she was by the end, and that she would be running the program. And kind of like she would be the General Hammond. And then when she went home, O'Neill would have made her dinner. I don't know. Girl can dream. Of course, we'd be having fish every night, but anyway.
Hi, Amanda. I have a question.
Hi, sorry. Oh, hi.
I have a question. I read that you directed the 10th episode of Travelers. Is that correct?
I did.
And I'm really a fan of the show. I love it.
I love it too.
Yes. I was wondering if you can give some insights on the second season and how many episodes you're directing.
I start on Tuesday when I go back, and I'm directing 4 episodes. No, I can't tell you anything. But I directed the finale, so the big cliffhanger. Stuff happens. I've actually read the first 4 scripts and episode 7. So I know that I'm directing, I was supposed to do 4 and 5 and 8 and 9. But for some reason I'm doing episode 7 in there. So I'm doing 4 and 7 and 8 and 9 numbered episodes. Eric McCormick is directing an episode. Andy Makita is doing 5, I think, and Will Waring, who you guys would know from Stargate, is doing 2. So I can't tell you anything except that the dynamic and what I read was, exactly the things about the show that I love were all in the new season script. I don't know if for those of you who haven't seen Travelers, it's Brad Wright's newest series, and it's phenomenal. Again, because it's Brad Wright, he knows how to write characters, and he wrote these really incredibly compelling characters with this great interpersonal dynamic, couched in a very interesting story about people from the future coming and trying to help us. Travelers from the future, hence the name. Whoop, somebody's gonna be arrested.
Have you ever tried stand-up comedy? I think you'd be very good at it.
I started in comedy. Did you know that? You do now. I started with a comedy troupe, 3 women, We called ourselves Random Acts, based on random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. But anyway, we were called Random Acts. And we did sketch comedy, but our sketch comedy always had sort of a political edge, and we really thought that we were, you know, like only in your 20s can you think that you're this intellectual and pull it off. We would do sketch comedy pieces about the transformation poetry of Anne Sexton. You know, and people would be like, wow, really? And we'd be like, yeah, it's really deep, really funny. And it was, actually, people laughed. We did pieces about like this book that was written in the 60s called On Becoming a Woman, and it was how a woman should act when she meets her husband at the end of his long, hard day. You know, have a drink prepared for him and give him his slippers and make sure the kids are quiet. And if you like a boy when you're in school, you should do things like knit him a sweater. It was just like it wrote itself. It was just fantastic. But yes, so I did, and then I was asked to, I was invited by the Comedy Store in LA to go and do a set. And they said, just come down and, you know, check us out. And I watched these comedians do stand-up and I went, never. It's so scary. Because everything depends on whether or not people laugh at your jokes. And there was one person who I thought was pretty funny, but not, you know, And it was like you could hear crickets throughout. Like, they'd say something and be like, bloop, 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 bloop. It's like, oh. And I just thought, I can't. I'd like wet myself on stage and it'd be terrible. Probably wouldn't do that, but.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
I wonder, you play a lot of badass women, strong women in your shows. Do you think it's typecasting or are you actually a girly girl?
It's typecast. No, that I play strong women. Again, I grew up with 3 brothers, so I've never been a girly girl. And even if I tried to be girly girl, I always felt like a fake. So when I got my agent in Toronto, the one that I really, really wanted, this really great agent in Toronto, I said, look, I don't do bimbo really well. I'm not comfortable playing super sexy. It's just, so she's like, yeah, I can see that. And I went, well, okay. So yeah, it just sort of came that I was playing either really messed up women or lawyers, doctors, scientists. And I'm happy with that, because I never really felt comfortable doing that. What's the thing? Yeah, that's the girly part. Yeah.
And this is going to sound quite weird. If you were in Beauty and the Beast...
If I was what, sorry?
In Beauty and the Beast.
If I was in Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
who would I be?
What?
No, sorry, go ahead. I'll let you
Yeah,
finish.
like what inanimate object would you be that would come to life and why?
Well, I like tea, so I might be the teapot. And I do like candles, so I might be Lumiere. It really is a random question, and awesome. I'd be the teapot, so that I could stay warm. Because it seemed a bit chilly there. Has anyone seen the new Beauty and the Beast? You know, I never, I'm not a massive Disney princess fan, and Olivia has grown out of that stage. But we took her and her girlfriends for Liv's birthday, and they're all like 11, 12-year-old girls, and oh my gosh, they were enraptured by it. It's so beautiful, the art direction and the production design, and the acting, it was really compelling.
Hi, so it's also about your mini awesome rose, sorry. And I was wondering, how does it feel to be such an example to young girls or young teens?
Well, you know, it's funny, I was asked this question yesterday, and A, it's a huge honor. B, I feel very blessed that I have been given such incredible characters to play, and I thank the writers for that. I mean, Brad Wright and Rob Cooper and John Glasner, they created this character, you know. Brad created Carter, and you know, I was very fortunate to get to play her. And I was fortunate that the writers also allowed me to put my own stamp on it, and they went with it like they did with all of our characters. So I feel very fortunate, and I also feel a massive responsibility. So when something would come up that I felt was inappropriate, or that I felt sent the wrong message about my character, or that I felt like the young girls who were writing me letters were going to be confused by, then I would talk to the writers about it. So it was a big responsibility. And even though there were things that I didn't agree with that my character did, because she shouldn't be perfect, either Magnus or Carter for that matter, there's a responsibility to be real and to know that there are young people watching it and that you're influencing them in some way. It's pretty phenomenal. And it's been a great gift to me, because when I come to events like this, and I don't do them so often anymore, but I love the stories that people come and tell me, and men and women. But especially, you know, women who's like, I watched this with my father, or my parents and this was our Friday night, or this brought my brother and I closer together to watch this show, or I love it. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question in a circuitous way.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? I wanted to ask you about your experience on the set of Anne. It's completely different to what you've done before, so I was very excited about it.
Oh, thank you. Well, Anne is a new remake of Anne of Green Gables that was shot in PEI in Toronto. It was written by Moira Walley-Beckett, who is an Emmy-winning writer from Breaking Bad, which seems like, if you know Anne of Green Gables, this iconic Canadian orphan character from Prince Edward Island and cooking up crystal meth doesn't. But Moira Walley-Beckett is a phenomenal writer with an incredible sensibility and a love of Anne and a love of these characters. So it's a grittier version. You know, you see dirt under the fingernails of the people who are working there. There's no makeup. It's raw. It's shot in big, wide shots where you see the starkness of the landscape. You know, when she interviewed me, she was like, I almost want the audience to be able to smell the farm and the work and the hardship. And so I directed the season 1 finale, and a lot happens, and it's a bit of a cliffhanger. And I loved every second of it. But I have to say, it was Amy Beth McNulty is this young Irish actress who plays Anne, phenomenal. British actress Geraldine James plays Marilla, and she's phenomenal. And I don't know, I know I'm talking to primarily a sci-fi crowd, but if you get a chance to even see the first episode of Anne, I recommend it. It's just beautiful. And the pilot was shot by Nikki Caro, who directed Whale Rider. A lot of female directors on the show, which was great. And again, Moira Walley-Beckett. I just love her. Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
First, thank you for coming to Belgium, because
Thank you for
in
having
the spirit of Save the Best till last, you're the last one of the SG1 crew team.
I want to tell the boys you said that.
I was wondering, if you had 2 personal Stargate, one in your home, where would you put the other one?
Wow, can I have 3? If I could have one that was portable, I would put it in London, probably so I could see my family more often, and I would put one in Kathmandu. So I could, I run a charity, and a lot of our organizations are in Kathmandu, so that would, yeah. Really, actually, that's where it would be. I can just take a plane to London quite easily, so I put the second Stargate in Kathmandu. Yeah.
Hi. Here.
Hi.
You've been acting and directing in a lot of iconic series. In fact, apart from Stargate and Sanctuary, you've also been in Supernatural, for example. How is it to direct something that you watched before as a normal viewer?
It's really weird. So Supernatural, I just directed an episode that comes out, I think, on April 27th, if I'm not mistaken. But that was weird because, of course, I'd seen the show, and then I acted in it, and then I went back as a director, and I thought, like, it's very strange. And the boys were wonderful. Jensen, Jared, Misha were all amazing. They're also, and this is I don't mean to belittle my strength as a woman or as a director, but they're so good looking, it's distracting. So I'm being very strong, and I've got a shot list, and and they joke around because that's what they do, because they've been together for so long, and I'm like, Jensen, Jared, hey, could you guys just get in the car? Just thanks. And it was hard because I'm like, I know these guys, I like these guys, I love the show, and then they're cute. So it was like just horrible mashup. But there's also a pressure, there's a different pressure when it's a show that you love. When it's a show that you, like X Company. I'm a fan of X Company, of the show, of the characters, of the writing, of the everything. So when I first went to direct X Company in Budapest 2 years ago, I was like, this is crazy, I really care about these characters, and I had a hard time, even though I'm an actor, differentiating, Aurora from Evelyn Brochu, and I was like, oh, right, no, you're Evelyn, yeah, but you're Aurora. It was interesting, I had a kind of fan experience, which was cool. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Amanda. I have a question about the acting job. What was your latest project? What is your...
But I did a little tiny cameo on X Company, and I was asked by Mark Ellis, who runs the show, he said, can you do this scene for us on Saturday? And I went, sure, I'm in prep, but I can come in and direct this scene for you, is what I thought he was asking me to direct. And he said, great. I mean, Julian's going to be there. And I was like, then why do you need me to direct this scene? And he said, no, we want you to be in it. And I went, I haven't stuck this face in front of a camera in a while. And I was super, super nervous. And I went for a wardrobe fitting, and I had my hair and makeup, and I was like, I remember, this is really nice. Way to start the morning. And I kept the makeup on all day because it felt really pretty. So X Company, my next one I can't tell you, but I am going to be in front of the camera for a small something. When I'm allowed to say, I don't even know if I'm not allowed to say. No, I don't want to get in trouble. But as soon as I get permission, I'll let you know. But I'm excited, and it was a part that was apparently written with me in mind, so that's lovely. Stay tuned. Beyond that, I feel like I have so much further to go with directing, and I love it, and that part of that second career has taken off, and I'm super excited about it, but I really miss being in front of the camera. And I get this weird jealousy when I'm on set and I see actors sitting around with their chairs, playing on their smartphones and just chatting and having coffee, and I'm like, that's nice. That's nice. Relaxing, are ya? That's nice. I'm just gonna go set up a shot. And I get jealous. So I would like to get back in front of the camera.
Hi.
Hi.
I have two questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
First one, in the beginning of Stargate, SG-1, there was this prank where you were stuck with MacGyver.
Oh, yes.
What would she do with McKay?
P3X793 comes to mind. It's a very cold planet. I think it needs to be studied. I think she'd keep him on the Atlantis base. He was good there. And I think every once in a while she might just open the gate up and send a lemon or two through, just to remind him who's boss. Yeah. And the cold planet if he gets out of hand.
Hello, Amanda.
Hi.
Okay, my question. So, Stargate, a sci-fi show of a couple of years ago now. You worked with a lot of new proposed technologies or alien gizmos, this and that. When you look at those things and the way things are now in terms of technology, do you see something that said, hey, we proposed that or we thought of that and this is becoming reality, or?
Absolutely. I think that so much of science fiction, not just Stargate but other shows, has quickly become science fact. I think things that were imagined or hypothesized, like the existence of stable wormholes as a means of transportation, are now something that people are legitimately talking about, which is pretty crazy. And the other thing is that I see Stargates, which I sound like that kid from Sixth Sense, I see Stargates. I see Stargates or things that look eerily similar to the Stargate in a lot of shows now. And my daughter's a massive fan of this show called Gravity Falls, and they have a portal that looks just like the Stargate. I'm like, rip off, they ripped it off. But it's the idea that that things that were once imagined are now highly probable. Not only possible, but highly probable. And I think that that's fantastic. And I remember saying that back when we were shooting Stargate, with science fiction is becoming science fact, but even more so now. Yeah. So I think if you can imagine it, then... And technology, you know, there's this idea, and I don't want to get too weird about it, but the idea that, and I'm going to say this wrong, so forgive me, but say you were born in 1600 and you were suddenly leapfrogged to 1700. There wouldn't be that much perceptible change. There would be some innovation. And the same with sort of 1700 to say 1760. And then it gets more and more. So from 1800 to 1900, a bit more change, and it's harder for the brain to sort of assimilate all of the technology changes that have happened. My grandmother was born in 1901 and died in 2004, and she saw everything. They didn't have cars or telephones or computers or there's so much. So if she was suddenly leapfrogged from 1901 to 2001, her brain could not have comprehended how much has changed. And now they're saying that gap, which was 100 years and then 60 and then 50 and 40, is now like if we were suddenly sent forward 10 to 15 years, we may not even be able to comprehend all of the technology that is now available or would then be available. So I think we're living in an age where that kind of science is happening so fast that it's almost too much for us to handle. And I just hope that we're safe with it, if that makes sense. Cool. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
You've played in the comedy named Space Milkshake, produced by Christine Craig. And do you have some funny moments you would like to share?
Oh, my Space Milkshake was, Robin Dunn produced the movie, and he kept trying to get me to do this film, and he kept and I read the script and I was like, I don't get it. Is this funny? I think and then it's like, well, it's Robin, so of course it's gonna be funny. And then Billy Boyd and Kristen Crook came on board, and he said to me, look, it's gonna be really out there and really crazy and really funny. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we went to Regina, which is in the middle of Canada, in the middle of winter. It's like the most freezing cold place. And we shot this film, and I remember laughing a lot on the Stargate set, but I have not laughed that hard. And it's really, Robin's a crack up anyway, but Billy Boyd could read the phone book, and you would laugh. And all he would have to do is turn his head and give you this look, and I would laugh. And then he showed up on set one day in his underwear, and that was, it went downhill from there, but he's arguably one of the funniest people I've ever met. And literally he would just sort of, you'd say something and he'd go. And he burst out laughing with a simple look. So, and it was also absurd subject matter. I mean, the idea of Gary, just like when, you know, I have this rubber thing that it was just like, wow, this is what I do for a living. This is awesome. Yeah, fighting this big rubber thing. Yeah. It was fun. It was really fun. It was probably too much fun, but it was awesome.
To come to Fest next time in a Fury?
Would I like to what? Sorry, go...
To come in a Fury costume.
In a Fury costume?
Fury. It's gone. Like the fox you had been on the photo.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It seemed like it would be very hot. Were you that fox?
No.
Oh.
But,
yeah, you know what? It would actually, what would be great is just to walk around, although I'm not, you know, super famous, so it doesn't matter, but it would be fun to sort of walk around incognito. I'd probably be quite naughty, though. I'd probably get arrested. Because I would pinch people and stuff. Yeah, actually, it would be kind of fun. That's a good idea. I think if I ever go back to San Diego Comic-Con, that's what I'd do. Cool. Thank you. I want to do that.
Hi.
Hi.
For your work on your charity project, Sanctuary, now how does it evolve? And do you plan on concentrating on that one region, or maybe expand it to more regions as well?
The thing with Sanctuary for Kids that has always been important to us is that we have a very intimate working relationship with the charities, that we just didn't want to be somebody that raised money and then handed it out without really understanding what the charities' needs were or how we could work our donation to benefit them in the best possible way. So, I mean, though we do have 3 charities in Nepal and the downtown east side of Vancouver, which is an area that's in desperate need. Like most downtown east sides of major cities, I don't know what it is, but they're all in trouble. And so, Haiti, of course, has still not received what it needs to recover from the tragic earthquake. So and that was so long ago. So, no, we don't have plans to expand at the moment because we're really happy with the relationships we have, and we feel like we're sustainable enough in the moment to continue doing good work for the charities that need us the most, and that we have the relationship with. Having said that, yesterday I also said that if there is a major disaster, of course we'll be there. And like we have done in the past, you know, when there was massive flooding in Pakistan, or we'll work with organizations where our donation is matched, so we maximize what we can do. So, but no, there's no current plans to expand. Although I have been talking with a charitable group out of Ethiopia that builds schools in Ethiopia, and though that may not be directly connected to Sanctuary for Kids, it's something that I'm also very interested in. And they have a really cool model where the school has like a year to become fully self-sustaining. And they teach them business practices, and they train the teachers, and the village gets really involved, and it seems like a fantastic model. So, yeah, thank you.
If you could direct an outdoor shoot anywhere, any place in the world, where would you like to go?
I'll say again Kathmandu, but because it's beautiful. You know what, I would love to go back to the Arctic. That was such a singular, phenomenal experience. And I feel like it's changing so drastically, and it's probably changed so much since we were there, that I would love to go back up there. I loved shooting in the north even when I was doing Arctic Air and I shot in Yellowknife. I love the culture and the community of the north, so yeah. I would like to go there. Although, like when we were shooting the Stargate movie Continuum, the ice was already being impacted in a massive way, and that it's far worse now, so.
Hello. Hi. Down here. Hi. Hello. You guys are all being blasted by the sun. You all look very pretty, but you must be boiling.
It's so hot.
Sorry.
If you were to play a role on Once Upon a Time, which is filmed in Vancouver.
It's filmed in our old state. I'd like to be the Wicked Witch of the West.
We did actually think that as well, but we
Did
didn't,
you?
Yeah, we didn't know whether it's, you know, the green might
I don't
stain
mind
your
the
face.
green. I think it would set off my eyes quite nicely. I think there's something to be said for the villainous characters in that milieu, even if just Disney alone, because there's always some level of hurt and insecurity and past that has made them become the way they are. It's not that they're just inherently born evil. They've got a history. You guys are just dying out there. Does anyone need water or anything? Yeah, so I think there's something really interesting about digging into that level of pain and making that choice to go one way or the other, and making the choice to, I think it's complete insecurity, which is what makes those characters so interesting, is that they're insecure. They've been hurt and they want somebody to feel as much hurt as they feel. So for sure evil. Because they're hurting. They just need someone to understand them.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. I wanted to know something about a written show you worked on, the new Van Helsing series. You
Yes.
directed something. I love the show, and I wanted to know, how was it working on the show, and are you coming back for season 2? Are you working on it?
I'm not coming back for season 2 because of Travelers. When Travelers offered me basically to direct a third of their season, it was too good to pass up. Van Helsing was incredibly understanding because they had offered me some shows, and they were very gracious. I loved it. I found it very challenging because it was really gory and bloody, and a subject matter that I'm not quite comfortable with all the time. I mean, Chris Heyerdahl and Kelly Overton and Jonathan Scarf, all the actors are amazing. But it was, I found it like I couldn't sleep well at night because I'd just done a show where like a vampire ripped someone's throat out. I was like, oh, that's... So it kind of stayed with me a bit, but at the shooting of it I loved, and the crew was fantastic. And I worked with a young cinematographer, Brendan Uegama, who I had worked with on other stuff, and he was great. So unfortunately, I'm not going back this year, but I know that Jonathan is directing an episode, and Paul Johansson, I think, is directing an episode, and yeah. So it's fun, but very bloody. I don't know what else I was expecting. It's a vampire show, for crying out loud. Amanda, there will be blood.
I'm afraid that's all we have
What?
time for. Do you have any...
No, I know, these people need water and fans.
Do you have any final words for your Belgian fans?
I do. Final words. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know what took me so long to get here, and I apologize for taking so long to get here, but it's been lovely. And I was saying to you that the fans are so, you're just, every convention has its own feel, and this is one that's very familial and very friendly and very caring and very warm, and I think that that speaks to being in Central or in Europe. I think that that's part of what it is, but I also just think that you guys are very kind people. And thank you for all the chocolate. Alan said that if I didn't come home with Belgian chocolate, he would divorce me, but now he's just going to get really huge because I have a lot of it, and so I thank you very much for that. But it's been really wonderful, and thank you to Fax for having me. It's been really great. Thank you.
Pleasure's all ours.
Thank
Amanda
you.
Tapping!